Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is noon, second video of the week. A lot of ground to cover, some good stuff, some bad stuff in the market. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about PPI data came out this morning. As you can see, the headline right below my beautiful face. PPI data was cooler than expected. CPI data last week was better than expected. So what do we have? Let's assess this from the perspective of how we invest in stocks. So I guess the thing that I find the most interesting is I did think that oil prices over the since March was going to have a dramatic effect on inflation. It really hasn't, or at least we're not seeing that in the data. And everything from what I've seen doesn't look anywhere near as bad as economists and pundits said it would. So that's a really promising sign. And I think something that bodes well for the overall trajectory of the market. The Fed meeting is next week. I think we have a CPI reading one more before the Fed meeting. Maybe that alters it, but man, I think there's a lot of misinformation out of what's happening in the Iran situation. And the reason I say that is the media puts out one thing and then it gets debunked by Iran. And people are led to believe that the strait is closed. I don't think the strait's closed. I don't think the strait's been closed. I think this is a lot of misinformation, and it's reflected in our data. And you can see it when you really look under the hood. You can see that information I don't think it's adding up. And so the sentiment that I leave here is what we're being told, I don't think is accurate across the board. To a degree, maybe, but when you really look, it just doesn't appear that way. Inflation should not be this way based upon being in a war for 6 months. It doesn't make any sense. Oil should be, I'm going to demonstrate oil, lead off the show with this, but oil is $82. Like, you would think by the headlines, by the news, by everything that we're seeing from all accounts that oil's $120. It's not happening. This is all... It's fairy tale. It's fairy dust. It's not real. It's just not real. That's why I say you invest with what the information's in front of you and you ride the momentum, because everybody that's fear mongering that tells you we're not getting oil and all that. Yeah, right. Let's be serious here. So in any case, but anyways, if you guys want to believe that and live in fear and not invest appropriately, so be it. I'm going to keep investing the way I see fit. But again, this is not financial advice, but rather for educational purposes. And you should do what you feel is best for yourself. Okay. I just did I did oil, gold. Gold looks great. I think the bottom is definitely in here. I've mentioned it. I've added to AU, which is Anglo Gold Ashanti, which is down 3%. I added this last week, probably flat on this, so no great moves there. GLD is the one I trade and invest in. I added a little bit last week, and I bought some gold coins. Okay. Not really the most sexy trade is gold, so just keeping that in mind. Bitcoin, not really doing anything, as you can see, kind of flat ledge, trying to set up a springboard. I'm still long Bitcoin, all is well. Though I will say one thing, and not to go down the crypto thing, all these other crypto coins are getting absolutely mauled. I think XRP is $1. I remember when people were buying this by the boatload, and people like a year ago were screaming this was going to be like $5 or $10. I had so many friends and people tell me XRP was going to like $5 or $10. The hell were these guys smoking? I don't know who the hell believed that shit. All of these things are fake. Just like I said, fake. You could say I'm wrong, whatever. Good luck investing into these garbage coins. I'll stick with Bitcoin and equities for this period of time. Sorry, you guys can feel the energy coming across the video. I'm very excited because I'm going to go into some of my stocks that are absolutely raging, and I'm excited about it, to say the least. The Nasdaq looks like it has made its low. I'm pretty confident when I say that. The data, obviously, this morning continues to bode well with the market. Above all major moving averages, we are basically almost back in a power trend. One more subsequential follow-through day will give me a power trend, and then I would go from 70% invested to probably 90% invested. So looking good there. All right, let's jump into the stocks that we're trading. And I have to lead off the show with SanDisk. SanDisk had earnings last week, and then basically their earnings, I think, were here or here. shit the bed. They didn't shit the bed. They were down like 8%. Great earnings, great earnings, great earnings. Yesterday, they rolled out a new product. They talked about it at their investor day. The market, it had it up a couple points yesterday. And then today, just a monster move. It's going to be interesting to see where this volume finishes. But, I mean, obviously, this has work to do. It needs to get past through the 50 before you could become uber bullish on this. But nonetheless, looks great. I played this. I also held on to SNDU. I got lucky. This is not me being such a great trader. I held on to SNDU from last week, mainly because I thought it was just overblown reaction. So I'm in these. I'm going to trim some of this today, up 30%. I think I bought this less than $17 before earnings. So I'm going to trim probably half of this, and then SanDisk, I'm going to let that position go and continue going. So when I say let it go, for clarity, it means I'm going to keep the position and keep it intact. Micron looks fantastic. This is the best looking memory name of all. It's held up the best. It is now crossed over the 50. I mean, again, I'm going to go on record. I think you should own a memory name in the market. I believe that memory has it's been a product of tons of profits. This ran up, so you had people taking profits. And then you had a lot of political bullshit in the background with AI data centers, and that has an influence on this, but ultimately Micron looks good. Here's another one. I had to buy this back. I bought this back yesterday, half position, up 6 points today, so I had to buy it back. It looks good. I mean, if you're looking for confirmation, it's over $65. I took a half position. I will be ready to unload and make this a full position if it could just give me some more strength and follow through. So Penguin. So now I own 3 memory names. So to give you understanding, I own SanDisk, Penguin, and Micron. All right, that concludes memory. Let's do Dell, which I think I got this. I got to toot my own horn. I've been saying, guys, be patient. It was in the box. I needed to break out the box. I actually have my Dell screen up here. I'm ordering Dell stuff from my office as we speak. By the way, if you haven't tried Dell's website, I mean, just their offerings, their value. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to go down that. But in any case, Dell beeline to $600. I mean, it's going to hit 500 today, or if it hasn't already hit it today. My favorite looking chart on the market, over, has broken out. If you're a Mark Miravini trader, which if you don't know who he is, you should look it up. Great strategy, great style. I learned a lot from him, his style of trading. You buy the breakout. This is a screaming buy to me, but I've owned it quite a bit back, so I'm doing all right on that. So Dell is a good looking chart. Let's see what else we got here. So I don't own Lumentum. I could not trade this correctly. I lost 7% on this about 4 months ago or 3 months ago. Had a great earnings yesterday. And the reason I bring it up is because that's going to propel up the whole hardware sector of business. And so yesterday had a great earnings, down 1% today. If you're looking for something to buy, this is something that I would buy. I won't buy it because I'm superstitious and I had a really bad trade twice in a row. In total, I've lost 12% on this. And then the only time I made money was on the way up, which was about 15%. So I'm only in the positive 3% ever on this stock, and I'm just not going to buy it. So, yeah. All right, let's keep it moving. Another one I bought back yesterday was Form Factor. Again, half position, so not size. When I say size relative, I know some of you guys trade with no size, and I like to make fun of you guys. My half size is a decent size, but I like to go full size, if you know what I mean. I like to go in with size. But in any case, it was a half size that I bought yesterday, and this looks good. I wanted exposure. I traded this before. I actually traded this on earnings here and made a really good trade here. So I'm back in this half position. Okay, keeping it moving. I don't own Intel, but I'm going to point it out because I know a lot of you own it. Intel looks good, 105. It still has a lot of work to do, so I'm not interested in buying it yet. There's a gap to fill here, which I think it will, but Intel is back on my watch list. I don't own it at the moment. Wow, SanDisk is now up 17%. Holy shit. Okay, I'm going through every name I own today because I want people to understand what I'm buying, what I haven't bought. I pointed out what is a buy. That's your decision of your due diligence to make the move that you see fit, whether it's buying it or not. A stock that I sold for a good trade was Corning. I got out of this, I think it was on Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday. I got out of this, had a good trade, 20%. I'm going to look to buy it back, but I think it needed to cool off. It came right off the bottom from 114 to 166. That was a quick move. That was all in a week. I take my 25% profits and I run, but back on my watch list, this is a stock that I definitely have. Now pivoting a little bit, I'm going to go to United Mortgage. And I talked about this on Monday. I bought this Friday of last week, up another 4%. I think I'm up 28% on this now. This is still a buy to me. I think this is $2 stock. The reason is that's where overhead supplies. You can see this volume shelf. It's going to have a hard time getting above 206. But I'd like to be able to hold this till about $2. I own it at like $1.10 or $1.05. I'd like to get to about 90% profit on this. Not a massive trade, but for those of you who have asking about this, I've been in it since Friday. And yeah, yesterday was a day, I mentioned it to about 3 or 4 people via text, was a day that you could have got in this on the pullback. If you did not get in this on the pullback, I don't think you're chasing here. I just think you have to be aware overhead supply at the $2 range. So if you're okay only making 40%, maybe you could buy it. All right. Let's keep it moving now. Into it, I'm still in this, though this is kind of boring right now since all the other names are raging. Into it up 1 point. I said the bottom is in for this. I mean, but look at this. This is slow stepped up, though. Be aware earnings at the end of this month. This is very tied to AI. The only good thing about it is they're using AI to their benefit, but AI took ate some of their lunch. So be aware of that. I own it. I love the value play in this. I've gone up. Not that the price in the past is indicative of the price in the future, but I want to make this clear. This was over $800 last year. That's number one. And AI was around then. Number two, their earnings and their EPS has been going up for years and years. I'm not saying it's going to return to past glory of $800 from last year, but I do feel confident to say that this is a $500 stock. Let's keep it in software for the moment. Software looks good. I own this. I have a pretty large position. Excuse me, I was a little parched there. This looks great. I don't know how else to put it. You should have exposure to software, not financial advice, but you should definitely have exposure to software. And then rolling right along, let's do biotech. I'm going to start off with the main one that I own. This is the interesting part of this show that you might want to listen to. IMNM had earnings and then had its largest day up. Yesterday hit an all-time high yesterday. As expected, you could see it from this large handle. Hit an all-time high, got rejected down 4.5%. I am buying more shares here. I will buy more shares today. This, to me, is a dip opportunity. With caution, their earnings were fantastic. This Clay Siegel is the CEO. This is going to get bought out in the future. I'm going to buy more shares today. I went into earnings with less than I originally had. I don't know if you guys recall, earnings were supposed to happen last week. I sold 65% of my position, took profits, realized they didn't report earnings, had to buy back 30%. So now I'm still 35% short, which I'm going to buy today. I'm not going to buy it yet because it hasn't made the low of the day, but you should definitely be aware of that. I'm going to be buying that. TGTX down today. I wouldn't call this a buying opportunity. I still own it, just pointing it out. Liquidia, I've sold this before earnings, and man, thank God I did. So I sold this. So I mentioned this on Monday's video. I had about 20% profits in this. I take it back because I still own it in my IRA. I own a half a position in my IRA, but my trading account, I sold it. I am not going to buy this back. I need to see confirmation that it could get back above the 50. If it gets back above the 50 line, I'll buy this back. So basically, I'm not looking for large confirmation because I would like to get it on a discount. It got chopped yesterday, 11%, another 4% today. And this is exactly why I sell stocks or I hedge going into earnings, because I don't want to experience this. So this is something that should be on your watch list, where I would say your trigger point, if you're looking to buy, is above today's high. That's where I would say is the trigger point on today's buy. You need to get confirmation above today's high to buy it. Still in Microsoft. Microsoft still looks good. I mean, to be expected, had a huge move up, now making a ledge. I'd like to see it make a high tight flag, kind of like Dell did. This is called the high tight flag. Oh, shit, I fucked that up. Dell here, large move on earnings and then really made this high tight flag, created a Darvis box and broke out. You don't want to see that from Microsoft just because that means it's going to take a while. You want to see maybe a couple days of some sideways action, high tight flag, and then break on some tight trading. All right. Pointing out a stock that I still own, a small little stock. I've pointed this out. So this was doing great. It was over $3. It got up to like 340. I was up like 100% on this. And then it got killed on earnings, came down to like $2. I lost a ton of profits. I didn't sell. I didn't do anything. And then I held it. I didn't really add to it. And now it's gone from $2 to 280. And I think this is going back to an all-time high. If you're looking, like I pointed out, United Mortgage and this one are my two small stocks. I don't normally play those, but there's your opportunities if you're looking for small stocks to ride. I don't own SpaceX, but I want to point this out for a lot of people. So if you recall, I did pretty good on this. I got out the day after earnings, which was, I think this day or this day or this day. It was one of the days. I think it was this day. Got out at earnings, and it's come up off the bottom. The lockup period of the initial investor sell did not do anything to this. I think the bottom is probably in. Yeah, I wanted it lower. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to trade it. I did great shorting it. I'm not going to trade it, but just pointing it out for those of you that ask me. I know some of you unfortunately missed getting out of the short for whatever reason. I think I mentioned it on my video that I was exiting it. Some of you missed that. And then you stayed in your short, and that sucks. All right, United Mortgage, by the way, spiked up while we were on this video. I think that's all I got. Action items for me, and I don't own it yet, is going to be Broadcom. This is a trigger point. Let me see. This was on my scanner this morning, and I made a note of this. I need it above 430, so it's not there yet. But above the 430, I'm going to buy Broadcom when I get confirmation. NVIDIA is also a potential buy. I haven't traded NVIDIA in years, but NVIDIA looks good. I'd say this is a buy here. And I'm still in ELF, though I haven't been up or down. And that's it. That's all I got for you. I'm going to conclude this video by saying, for those of you that text me and tell me the world is falling and that economics are terrible, I'm not seeing it, guys. And it's definitely not being reflected in a multitude of indicators across the economy, just so you know. I need to see it. I'm not saying I'm not flexible to the data, but I'm just not seeing it. And the fact that we saw PPI and CPI data look so much better than anticipated, considering we had a war going on since March. And in any precedent in the past experience, when you've had oil elevated, that's usually seen in this data, and it's seen pretty drastically, and yet not happening. And so you can live in fear and not invest in stocks and continue to say that the world's going to fall. Good luck. We're in a capitalistic society here in the United States. And as you can see from all accounts, our stock market does great no matter what. It might go through periods of time where it doesn't, but this is what a capitalistic free market does for stocks, companies, equities. We continue to grind higher. And so for those of you, and I can't stand hearing people so negative and so constantly feeding me, oh, we're going to fall off a cliff. These are the people that don't invest in stocks. These are the people that sit on the sidelines and then FOMO in at the last second. Putts, as I tell you, just pure putts. Anyways, keep betting against America. Good luck with that. For those of you that bet against America, focus on your socialistic governors and mayors that are getting elected everywhere. See how that works out for you. Not trying to make this political. All right, rock and roll. Have a great remainder of your week and keep making tons of money out there.